Welcome to our channel, where we talk all things true crime. This video is for educational purposes based on public knowledge. We do give our opinions at the end, but please do your own research. We mean no disrespect for any mispronunciation of names or places. Let's get started. Sydney Sutherland was a 25-year-old nurse from Tuckerman, Arkansas. She was the daughter of Maggie and Dion Sutherland. She had two brothers, Tyler and Sam Sutherland. Sydney was also a very proud aunt. Her nieces, Mila and Lenny, who adored Sydney, called her Aunt Sassy. Sydney was very close to her mother. Sydney's mother said they were best friends, and when they went to the ball games, Sydney would sit with her rather than her friends. According to her family, she was active in various clubs and sports in high school and college. She enjoyed exercising, shopping, and listening to audiobooks. It's said that Sydney was genuine and had a sweet personality. On August 19, 2020, the Sutherland family returned from Destin, Florida. Cindy went back to her mom's house. She was her normal, happy self. She hung out for a while and then went back to her house that she shared with her boyfriend, Alex Nicholson. Sydney and Alex had been together for 4 years. Sydney had gone out for a jog near Newport, Arkansas. She was last seen by a UPS driver around 2:30 to 3 p.m. on State Highway 18, which is between Newport and Grubbs. At 5 p.m. that evening, when she didn't return, her boyfriend was very concerned. Alex called Maggie and said he had gotten home and Sydney wasn't there and didn't know where she was. Her car and her belongings were still at home. Maggie came over within 15 minutes. She called both her husband and sons and told them that Sydney was missing. The family walked along the road that Sydney would have taken, but didn't find any signs of her. That's when Maggie called the police. There was a missing person report filed for Sydney. Maggie had also contacted AT&T to track Sydney's phone and Apple Watch. Word spread quickly in the small town, and social media posts began to pop up on multiple platforms asking for any information about her. The search started later that night. The community came together to look for Sydney. The search party included the Sutherland's family, friends, and neighbors, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, Arkansas Department of Corrections, Arkansas State Police, U.S. Marshals, the FBI, Tuckerman Police, Jonesboro Police, and Newport Police helped in the search. The state police and the FBI led the search, and they used 3 helicopters to search from the air. Since there was no signs of Sydney had fallen or been in an accident, it was now feared that she was abducted. The search that had started Wednesday night paused about 2 a.m. Thursday morning. They resumed the search around 7:30 a.m. There were 170 people that showed up to search for Sydney. By Thursday night, the only clue they had found was Sydney's phone. The phone was found around a quarter of a mile from her home. Jackson County Sheriff David Lucas said that the phone was not damaged. The search party paused again due to the dark Thursday night. Friday, August 21st, the search resumed at 8:30 a.m. Sheriff Lucas announced at 11 a.m. they were investigating several leads. Police spoke with Quake Llewellyn about the disappearance of Sydney. Quake was well known in the area for his farming background. Quake had spoken to the police the day Sydney had gone missing. He told them that he had seen her jogging down County Road 41. No one else had seen her at that time. Quake also helped in the search party. At one point, he was standing next to a tree by himself. Maggie had noticed him and said it looked like Quake was sort of lurking, maybe trying to listen to others' conversations. Maggie then walked up to Quake to ask him if he had noticed anything else when he had seen Sydney. Quake just told Maggie, "Nope, she was just running." So Maggie asked again if he had anything to tell her. He replied, "Nope, she was just running." This ended the conversation quickly. Quake gave Maggie a hug and then walked back over to the group. It was then that Maggie felt something odd, like something was wrong. On County Road 41, there seemed to be just a glimmer of hope in the search. The search party was even crawling on hands and knees to look for evidence. When Maggie had found a bead on the ground, she said that Sydney had been there. Unfortunately, just as hope was setting in, it was ripped away. Sam, Sydney's brother, received a phone call from Sheriff Lucas. He told Sam to gather the family. He had news. Sam said that was the hardest trip he had ever taken. He was told that a body was found, and that's all that was said. He knew that they were meeting the sheriff to break the news to Maggie, which was the worst part. When the detectives told Maggie that they had found Sydney, she said, "He just broke it to me. It was devastating." By early Friday evening, it was confirmed that Sydney's body was found north of her home. Searchers had found a female's body at 2 p.m. She was in a shallow grave in a rice field. The body was then sent to Arkansas Crime Lab. At 6 p.m. Friday night, the sheriff confirmed that the suspect in Sydney's case was transported into Jackson County Jail. jail. At this time, the suspect was not identified yet. The interview and arrest took place at Arkansas State Police Headquarters in Newport. It was also confirmed that Sydney and the suspect knew each other. They had went to the same high school together in Tuckerman, Arkansas.
Quake allowed the police to search his phone, where they found the app Life 360. This app tracks the phone's geographical location. This app showed that Quake's phone was at a location just a little over 2 miles from where they found Sydney's phone, just 1 hour after Alex had came home and was wondering where she was. Sydney's deceased body was found just a few yards from where the app said Quake was. This led the police to search Quake's truck. That's when the police found what they believed to be blood on the tailgate and in the cracks of the tailgate.
Quake had said during a mental health evaluation he was out driving when he saw Sydney jogging. He claimed it was an accident. He said that he had turned his truck around and didn't see Sydney anymore due to the road still being dusty. He said Sydney might have crossed the road and that's when he hit her with the truck. Quake said, "I felt her hit my truck, so I slowed down." He claimed that he asked if she was okay but didn't receive an answer back. He then said he was concerned he would get in trouble for running her over. Quake put Sydney in his truck. It's unclear if she was already dead at this point or not. He then admitted he took her clothes off and messed with her a bit. When asked for clarification, Quake's attorney told him not to elaborate. Quake then admitted to burying her body, going back to work and then home where he ate dinner and went to bed. He just tried to forget about it and went to work just like normal the next day.
It was determined that Sydney died from multiple blunt force injuries and her death was ruled as a homicide. Quake was charged with capital murder, rape, kidnapping, and abuse of a corpse. With the capital murder, there's the possibility of the death penalty, which the Sutherlands were in favor of this. Both Quake's mother and wife helped with the investigation. They gave the police surveillance footage from their farm, which showed a dent on Quake's truck that he had gotten the same day Sydney disappeared. It also showed Quake was wearing the same shoes that police believed matched the footprints by the burial site. His shoes and clothes were then taken for evidence. Quake pleaded not guilty to the charges.
Quake was found by the court-appointed psychologist to be fit to stand trial. After this, the only way for Quake to avoid the death penalty was to take a plea deal. By doing this, he waived a jury trial. On October 4th, 2021, he finally pled guilty to capital murder and rape. The prosecutors had dismissed kidnapping and the abuse of a corpse charges for the plea deal. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. It took 13 months to get some sort of justice for Sydney Sutherland. The Sutherlands approved of the plea deal. The sexual assault prosecutor stated that he hoped that the Sutherland family could have some sort of closure. The prosecutor went on to say that no length of incarceration, no punishment available under the law will ever be sufficient to provide retribution for the deeds of the evil mind that perpetrated these heinous acts. Finishing his statement with, "This outcome ensures that Quake Llewellyn will never again breathe free air and that the Sutherland family will not have to suffer the renewed trauma of appeal after appeal that accompanies death penalty cases."
Quake's public defender, Bill James, told news sources, "It started out as an accident and it just kind of went bad from there. He didn't want to put anyone through any more pain, so he felt like this was the best thing for everyone." James also added that his client was remorseful. He credited the Sutherland family for sparing Quake's life. He admitted that his client would have most likely faced the death penalty if the case had proceeded to trial. James commended the Llewellyn family for helping law enforcement and encouraging Quake to confess. Unfortunately, the Llewellyn family took a lot of abuse when they did nothing wrong. Quake's wife had actually filed for divorce soon after his arrest.
During the hearing, Maggie gave a very emotional victim impact statement. She started out asking Quake to look at her, and when he did, she said, "Why couldn't you just pass her?" "Why couldn't you just pass my daughter?" Maggie asked. "Justice for Sydney is all I ever wanted this past year for my daughter. What you took 408 days ago from us will never get back." She also told Quake she was not yours to take. Sydney's dad, Dion, also made a statement in court. He called Quake a 300-pound coward that hit my 100-pound daughter with a 3,000-pound truck. He said he had hoped that Quake would rot in hell for what he did to his daughter. Maggie later gave a public statement to the press. "Today you had to plead guilty to murder and raping her and will spend the rest of your life in prison. But true justice for Sydney would be for her to be here."
Sydney Sutherland's family and friends had done several things to honor her. They created a memorial site at Greenhall Cemetery where she was buried. They all shared memories and photos of her on social media and online obituaries. Someone anonymously spray painted "Justice for Sydney" across the overpass of Jackson County Road 41 and Highway 67/167.
A few other facts about the case. Quake wore a bulletproof vest to the county courthouse. The number of people in the courthouse was limited due to COVID-19. Tweets were allowed, but no video or photos during the arraignment. Quake didn't show any reaction during the arraignment. There were around 24 people sitting on the plaintiff's side of the courtroom, but only 2 people sitting on the defense side of the courtroom. Quake was held on no bond. So what do we think?
I don't think it was an accident. I think it was on purpose, and it's weird that he's never been convicted of any other crimes. He had like a clean criminal record.
That is weird. Like, who just I don't know.
Because I think, normal person that would have accidentally hit somebody would have called the police, called 911.
Yeah, and like when they said that she had multiple blunt force traumas, I mean, I wouldn't think that that would happen from being hit by a vehicle. Not multiples, anyways.
Yeah. And also, who else hits a person and then puts them in the bed of their truck and takes their clothes off?
That's really weird. And like, I mean, maybe he hit her on accident, but she wasn't dead, and then he panicked. I don't know. But it escalated real quick.
It took a weird turn.
It did.
I mean, because he claimed that he couldn't see her through the dust. I could kind of see that being on a dirt road. However, I think, again, anybody that hit anything would stop. You have a cell phone. I mean, he had a cell phone on him. They were tracking his location.
Yeah.
Call 911. You just don't strip a body and abuse it.
And then bury it in a shallow grave.
Yeah. Because you have to think people are either going to call 911 or they're going to flee.
Yeah, this is true.
I mean, his reaction doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah.
It seems like on purpose.
You know, now that you're saying that, and he's like, has this big farm, like, is she like the first and only? I don't know. Just speculation. We don't know him.
No, we don't.
Just trying to think about how, this could happen. And it just seems
extreme for his first time.
Exactly. Yes. So it's very odd.
It is very odd.
But either way, he got punished for his crimes, luckily. What do you guys think? Have you heard of this case? Let us know in the comments. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing and turn on notifications for future videos. Until next time, stay safe.